Congratulations, you have made it through. You are up to Module 10, Lesson 10, the interview process. And I want to say kudos to you. If you have gone through all of the other modules and completed all of the lessons, doing all of the assignments, all of the recommended reading, and now you're up to this point, I believe with all of my heart that you are 1,000% better prepared for your next great opportunity than you were when you started this program. Now, that may not be the case if you skipped around and you only did some of the lessons half-heartedly and you didn't complete every single section. You didn't do some of the homework, especially the early homework, the homework about getting clarity about what it is that you want to do next. If you have skipped over that, this module and this lesson is not going to help you at all because you're going to be interviewing for the wrong job. I want you to be interviewing for the right job. So that means you need to have worked your way all the way up. I'm assuming that's what you've done. And I'm really excited to present to you this final 10th lesson in the program, Jumpstart Your Job Search in 10 Easy Steps. So what do you do when you're ready for the interview? Well, it's a good thing when you get called, whether it's for a phone interview or a face-to-face interview, whether it's your first interview or your fourth interview. An interview is a big deal, so don't underestimate the importance of how you show up and appear and how you perform over the course of your interview. Now let's assume for a moment that you've gotten a call for a phone interview. Maybe a recruiter called you at a bad time. You're on your way out the door, you are about ready to put the kids in the tub, about to put dinner on, whatever you may be doing. If a recruiter or a hiring manager from a company that you've applied to calls you in the middle of the night and wants to know, is this a good time to talk? I want you to make it a good time to talk. Even if you're surprised and you're not expecting the call and you don't feel like you're prepared, if you've been doing everything you've been taught up to this point, you wouldn't have applied for a job that you haven't done some preliminary research about, that you didn't know something about the aspects of the job, because you're no longer just applying for things willy-nilly and hoping that something sticks. You're strategic about where you are applying, and you know something about the companies that you have an interest in working for. So if you get a call like that, and they may ask you out of courtesy, is this a bad time? Can we talk for a few minutes? If you say, you know what, it is a bad time, I'm heading out the door, I'm getting ready to go to the store to pick up a few things. Can you call me back, or can I call you back? And that's the wrong answer. That answer conveys to them that you really don't care that much about that job, that whatever it is that you're about to do is more important than the job that they may have to offer you. So whatever is happening, I'm serious. Take the call. Take a deep breath. Put everything else down, and for the next few minutes, concentrate on the call. Answer the questions to the best of your ability. If it still doesn't work out, so be it. But at least you got a shot. If you tell them this isn't a good time, can you call me back? 9 times out of 10, they're not going to bother to call you back. They will find someone else who's ready to take the call. So that's one thing I want you to know. If they call you for a face-to-face interview, you prepare to go just like you would go for, you know how to go for an interview. You dress up, you look your best. You should dress one level up above whatever position you think you might be applying for. And you go prepared with a portfolio, with multiple copies of your resume and cards in the portfolio in the event that you need to distribute them in case it's a panel interview. Or it may be that you have printed off your resume on heavier stock paper, nice resume paper, and you'd like to give the interviewer a nice copy of your resume as opposed to whatever they downloaded off of the internet, that's how you should go prepared. Sometimes they'll offer to let you bring in a presentation. If they do that and you feel comfortable offering a presentation, then offer one. However, don't fall into the trap of feeling like you have to offer something. You don't. If you're otherwise well prepared, a presentation may or may not add value to what it is that you have to offer. So be very careful about just simply opting to provide a presentation because it was offered as an option. You don't have to feel pressured into doing that. They do that sometimes as a courtesy. Now, sometimes a presentation is required. If that's the case, then you need to go in with a killer presentation. Spend time on it, work on it, make sure that it's perfect, and be prepared to present. If you get called back for a second round of interviews, that's a good sign, but that isn't a sign for you to relax or to feel like you've got a lock on the job. All that means is that the competition is now even tighter. They may have narrowed the pool of their candidates down to 1, 2, or 3. You probably won't know, and I wouldn't recommend that you ask. If they offer that they are trying to weigh the pros and cons of you and one other, and they happen to ask you what makes you more qualified than the other person that we might be looking at, do not say anything negative about the other person. Start out by saying, well, I assume that if another person and I are in here for this last interview or a second round of interviews, that we are both highly qualified and it's an honor to even be considered. What I would offer as my particular strengths are A, B, and C. What I can bring to you is X, Y, and Z. The problem I can solve for you that I know that you have a need to have solved is 1, 2, and 3. If you've done your homework, you know what problems they're facing, and you should have some sense of how you might be able to solve that problem. Remember what I've told you before. There are only 3 reasons that anybody ever gets hired. You can solve a problem or cure a pain. You can make them money or you can save them money. During the interview, you want to keep bringing the conversation back to the extent that it's possible to how you are uniquely positioned to do one or more of those things. Solve a problem, make money, save money. Now, it's possible that you could do all 3. If that's the case, and particularly if you've been able to do it before, if you have a proven track record, then by all means share that. You want to share your experiences, what you've learned over the course of your career, how you've used those experiences and the lessons that you've accumulated over the time that you have worked for other companies, how you might be able to use that moving into this new position. Now, if you are a new candidate straight out of school, you don't have that much experience yet, maybe the internships or summer jobs, and that's it. That's okay. What you're being judged on is your personality, your communication style, and your aptitude. Let's not forget that depending on the job, it may not be all that unusual that you'll be asked to submit to a series of tests or a battery of some sort of assessments. If that is the case, then what they're going to be looking for is your general aptitude, whether or not you are talented or have a predisposition to be able to do a certain kind of work. For example, I recently took the Pathway Planner. I've mentioned that it's one of the assessment tools that I offer as an additional value if you'd be interested in taking it so that you can learn more about yourself. In the course of taking that particular assessment for myself, as one of the sections is a cognitive section, and it actually assessed my verbal ability as opposed to my numerical or mathematical ability. Well, I didn't need them to tell me that I am off the chart a 10 verbal, but I am practically on the other end of the spectrum. I think I only made a 3 on the math, which 5 being the norm, 3 is low, 10 is high. So I'm off the chart verbal, but below normal or below the norm on math. And the report indicated that if I were looking at a job that required a higher level of math skill, I might think about taking some courses. Well, I'm not interested in any kind of job that would require math skill, and no one in their right mind would ever hire me to do anything that had anything to do with numbers. When I hear people talking mathematical equations, it's a foreign language for me, truly. But give me a battery of tests that have to do with arcane meanings of words that I'm not even sure I know what they mean, but I can make a pretty good guess at them. And no, I never took Latin. It's just something that comes naturally for me. So know what your aptitudes are. And if you're young and you still haven't quite figured all of that out, go through the battery of assessments. Let the tests speak for themselves. What they're trying to determine is if you're a good fit for the particular job that they're getting ready to fill. They don't want to make a mistake. Hiring the wrong person is costly for them. It can cost them not only valuable time, but not only are they paying your salary, they're also paying for your benefits and training, and it becomes very, very expensive. They cannot, in most cases, afford to make a mistake. So they're being very careful. Remember that when you start to get impatient about the fact that they're making you wait so long to make a decision. The other thing you've got to remember as you go through this entire process, and in the interview, it becomes particularly important for you to acknowledge, never, ever is this process, at the end of the day, about you. It is still about them. What do they need? How can you help them? What value do you bring to them? How would they benefit from having you be one of their team? So when you turn that paradigm around and you stop thinking about, well, this would be a great job for me because I get to stay here and it'll pay this and I'll be able to move there and I got a car, got benefits, oh, it's great for me. Forget it. It may be great for you, but that's not where you need to focus right now. Your focus should be on what can you do for them, period. That's what your resume should convey. That's what your cover letter should convey. It is certainly what you need to convey during the course of your interview, whether it's a phone interview or an in-person interview, whether it's the first, second, third, whatever number of interviews. Okay? Now, I've written some text for you to read, and I've offered some resources for you. There are plenty of other outside resources, and I've recommended some of the experts that I think you would benefit from taking a look at and studying with, in addition to what I have had to offer you. J.T. O'Donnell at Career HMO, she offers a great program that's only $9 a month. And there are all sorts of resources on that website that I learned from J.T. So my program is similar but not the same by any stretch. But she offers additional resources because she has a whole team of people working on video and webinar and all sorts of tutorials. I'm a shop of one. So I recommend her website, Career HMO. If you haven't already signed up for free for careeralism.com, JT also owns that, and I highly recommend it. I offer articles for it on a routine basis. Robin Ryan just recently released a book that I think it's called 60 Seconds and You're Hired. Jessica Hernandez owns Get Resumes Quick or something like that. Jessica Hernandez, Google her, you'll find her. Don Goodman, I don't think I mentioned him in the text, but he's another resume writer and career expert that I find to be extremely knowledgeable, and his articles are great, and I often share them on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. There are tons and tons of resources. Part of the problem is not a dearth of resources. Part of the problem is trying to sort through all of the various resources to get down to what can help you to land. And if you get so caught up in the process that you forget that this is about actually landing your next job, then that's not any good either. So don't forget, the ultimate prize here is your next great job. Let me just finish up on this note. This is your next great job, not necessarily your last great job. J.T. O'Donnell is fond of saying every job is temporary. She is absolutely right. In this new economy that we are all learning to live with, and it's constantly changing and evolving, it's still the recovery that we're finally beginning to feel has still been very, very slow. And jobs that were prevalent 20 years ago no longer exist. You've got to learn to move with the times, stay up to speed, keep your skills pertinent and relevant and up to date. And remember that, again, JT's fond of saying, you're a business of one, so it's your responsibility to keep your business up to speed, up to date, ready for whatever may come. Whatever may come might include 6 months from now, a year from now. Even if you land this job, you may once again find yourself looking. Companies close, departments collapse, jobs are eliminated because of cost-saving measures. You know the drill. I don't have to tell you all the things that can happen to a job. Here today, gone tomorrow. You will be okay as long as you remember the process that you have now learned from gaining clarity all the way through how to interview like a pro. So on that note, there are some bonuses. I'll leave you to explore them as you need to, but I want to congratulate you for getting to this point. I wish you well in your interview. Let me know how things go. If there's anything I can do to help you moving forward, I am here to serve. This is Kitty Boitnott of Boitnott Coaching. Happy job hunting.